Welcome to Life Picks Relationships, helping you understand and enliven your marriage through the various perspectives and experiences of others who found a way to prioritize what's really important in life. From new love to those that have weathered the storms, let's get ready to take your relationships to the next level with your host, ST.
Hey, Life Fixers, hope you're having an awesome day. Are you ready to better understand yourself, your partner, and your marriage? Ooh, yes, we are going to go deep into the marriage, the sexual part of marriage. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share with your family and friends so they too can understand themselves better. And you'll be helping us reach our goal of 1 million downloads by the end of 2025 at the same time. Now, for today's episode, we have a former attorney who left her job to go and follow her passion of marriage, of relationships. And she actually started off getting trained in counseling and decided she didn't like what they were teaching there, left that, and instead got trained more on the coaching aspect, on life coaching and couples coaching, and now works specifically with women who want to empower themselves, their sex lives, and have a better relationship. You can go and find out more about her at moreintimacy.net. That's moreintimacy.net. I'm going to put her links in the show notes so you can go and find out more about her. Thank you so much, Debbie, for being here. I'm super excited to be speaking with you. You want to start by telling us how you met your husband?
How I met my husband. Okay. So I had been a single mom after, I married when I was about 30 the first time. I spent all my 30s married, largely in a sexless marriage because, often we children of divorce, we don't pick very well. And then I spent quite a few years single now as a single mom dating in my 40s. And I met my husband on Match.com, and he's just wonderful and beloved. And he was my neighbor. He lived on only a block away. So,
oh, wow.
That was lovely.
So you met him online as though you lived right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
how
wow.
else are you going to meet people?
Yeah, exactly. Now, what's your relationship like now different to your first marriage?
Oh, it's night and day. Oh, it's the relationship that I always wanted. So I've always been like a romantic. I don't know. When I grew up, my favorite TV show was The Love Boat, right? All these couples, you don't even remember it. So I've always been a romantic, and growing up in a divorced, raised by a single mom in a house full of sisters, I always wanted to, meet a great guy. And I don't want to talk about my ex-husband here, but he wasn't a great guy. We'll just say that. And my current husband he's both very masculine and manly, but also like sweet and sensitive. But, and we have this beautiful, amazing sex life, which I think is what keeps really a lot of great energy going with us. But a lot of what I want to say is it's like, okay, maybe it just looks like I just got damn lucky this time and I married somebody wonderful, but his two ex-wives wouldn't have had the same thing to say about them. Ladies, it's how you treat your man. You can turn a good man into a wonderful man or into an ass, right? Yeah. We can take a decent guy and kind of the way we treat them, that's how they treat us. So his two ex-wives wouldn't have said that he was wonderful and amazing, but he is certainly for me.
Oh, wow. I like that so much. Okay. So I know you say that there are 6 elements to pleasurable sex. What are they?
Oh, I say, okay, so I've written a paper, and this is largely for therapists and gynecologists, which are not so much 6 elements of great sex, but it's like 6 things women need to have wonderful sex. So what do we need? We need knowledge, right? I mean, so much misinformation out there. People look at porn and think of that as sex ed. And it's not, right? Those people are paid actresses. That is not the way real women's bodies respond and such like that. So we need knowledge, and we don't get that much in sex ed. And that can be, many different things. It's not only just knowledge generally about female response and desire and arousal and such, but it's also about what this specific woman needs, because we're all different, right? So there's the knowledge aspect. Then
so how do you suggest a person become more knowledgeable in that?
Well, there's a lot of information on the internet, of course.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books on the subject. Female sexuality hasn't always been deeply studied until recently, but in recent years, there's been more studies, but studies and such don't explain everything. The woman still needs to know her own self, her own relationship, her own boundaries, turn-ons, and everything in between, right? Like anything that's like a maybe zone. So there you have to kind of have an attitude of exploration being open to things like self-touch and sensual practices and partner connection practices and things that help you know what it is that you like. And that could change over the course of your life or depending on who your partner is. And even at your different times of month, it can change. So knowledge is a big one. What do I like? What do I want?
Yeah. Okay. So that's knowledge.
That's knowledge. Then there is, we could talk about this the whole time. Then there is,
I know there's one that I want
worthiness.
to specifically, well, I want to first hear all of them.
Well, then there's worthiness,
worthiness,
right? The belief that our sexuality is normal and natural and not something to be ashamed of and hidden away. So there's, that our needs are important too, right? That this is not something that we're just doing to please our partner, that our bodies are beautiful, that they deserve to be loved, no matter if they're not, in the perfect Instagram, influencer shape, right?
Yeah.
So there's a big issue of worthiness.
Now, going back to worthiness, that you're not doing it just for a husband, do you think that, what's your take on having sex if you don't want and your husband does?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an act of love in addition to just a physical act, right? Assuming you love your husband and you're not in the mood. I mean, maybe you're truly not in the mood. And then that's absolutely somewhere you should draw the line and have a boundary. But if he wants to make love to you and you're not in the mood, well, give it a try, because it's not unlikely that you won't get in the mood, right? Or that you won't even get something out of it. Just being loved and knowing, being a good partner is often giving. And that's what better way of giving is, to give of yourself physically. And it's very likely you're going to enjoy it yourself. So why not?
Yeah. Yeah. When your relationship is good and healthy, then for sure. Yeah.
And that's the thing. We have a responsibility as the females to enjoy our sexuality, right? We can't just be like, oh, I'm not into it and I've never really explored and I don't touch myself or use anything, because your man wants you to enjoy yourself, not just sacrifice and put out for him.
Yeah,
he wants you to have a good time too. So, and that's largely responsible for us. He could be the best lover in the world, but if we've got all these mental blocks and we're not letting these messages come through to us and resonate with us, it doesn't matter what a good lover he is. We got to prevent ourselves from having a good time, or we're just going to be pissed about it.
Yeah.
It's up to us to put ourselves in the right state of mind too. There's a great expression, exercise that women can do, and ask yourself, I turn myself on when, and be like, wow, it's a reframing. Like, I turn myself on, not what he does turns me on, but I turn myself on.
Yeah.
So how do I get in the mode where I know that I can?
So make a list of those type of things.
Yeah. What do I enjoy? What makes me feel good? What makes me feel happy? Maybe it's music. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's socializing. Maybe it's seeing my man in an environment where I'm like, wow, I'm a lucky girl. What turns me on?
Okay. I like that. Really reframes the whole perspective. You're not like taking responsibility for it, not blaming anything, and you're going and making it work. Okay. What's our next one?
Oh, okay. So there's worthiness. Then there is embodiment. So sexual pleasure takes place in the body, right? But many of us are caught up in our busy, busy brains all the time, right? And we're rewarded. I mean, when we go to work, we're rewarded for what goes on in our head, right? We're not encouraged in life to be into our sensual pleasures and such. So how do you get out of, all of your past rumination, your worries about the future, your worries about things that you can't control and things like that? It's a practice. So you have to use kind of mindfulness techniques and other techniques to be able to calm your busy, busy mind so that you can experience sensual pleasure. So I can consider embodiment a combination of mindfulness, that is being present in the moment, in this room, in this body right now, and also a focus on sensation, input from your five senses. And bodies and such can go numb with neglect, with trauma, and you just don't feel much. But fortunately, you can rewire yourself to experience more pleasure and more sensation.
So what sort of exercises or things could people do to become more aware, especially the five senses part? I think that is easier for people who, like, a lot of people speak about mindfulness and it's incredible. We really do need to become more mindful, but so for some people, it's like a little bit out of reach. And I find that, like, when you see the five senses, it's a bit more like tangible. Okay, that I could do. So what could people do?
Sure. I mean, I have a number, if I work with clients, there's quite a few exercises on sensual touch. There's also sexual touch, but there's even everyday sensing and savoring. Like, for instance, I have a client that has a number of little kids and they go out hiking. And I say, here's an exercise that you can do with your kids. Now, when you're out walking in nature, have everybody pay attention to 3 things that they notice that they can see, 3 things that they hear, that they smell, and that they touch. And it might just be the breeze, the breeze or the feel of your sweater, or you can go out and touch a tree bark or whatever it is you like. But it's hard to do taste. But of those 4,
Taste
now
the
you're
ear.
really paying attention. You're like, hey, where are there good things in my environment? Like, look at the color of that sky right now. It's really blue. I'm going to note that the sky is really blue. And that, unfortunately, there's a construction site across the lake, it seems. And I'm like, but
we can't see it from here.
A lot
We
of
just see
noise
green and blue.
here, but instead I'll focus on the birds. I hear a lot of birds singing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So just paying attention to what's coming in your senses and doing it on a regular basis makes you more sensitized, makes you more enjoy things. Food is especially good. If you really pay attention to the food that you're eating, instead of just preparing your next spoonful while you have this in your mouth, then you can enjoy your food more. The same with lovemaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Food, you also get all 5 senses really strongly. So that's really good. Okay. So what do we have next? Number 4.
Creativity.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to have the same old sex all the time. People get bored, right? It gets boring. So how do you know what you like if you haven't explored things on the sexual menu? So you can approach this with your partner as explorers, right? Rather than, I'm bored and I don't like this and I don't know what I want, but I know I don't want that, right? That's a common thing. It's like, I don't like the way I hear about this in marriage counseling. It's like you go, I don't like the way he touches me, right? It's just like, what do you like?
Right.
Don't tell your partner what you don't like. Tell your partner what you do like. And how do you know what you like if you haven't kind of opened up your mind and explored some things? Like, I didn't even know I liked to be spanked until like I was already middle-aged, and I was like, dang, do that again.
Such fun. It makes life so much more interesting, so much more enjoyable in every aspect. Yeah.
5 is time. Women's bodies take a long time to be aroused compared to a man, right? He's all aroused like swing, 60 seconds usually, and it's parts of a female's body takes 20 to 40 minutes of attention to be primed for lovemaking. And not only is there like, do you want to kind of get the kind of touch you want for enough time, but you also, under the time category, is there's nothing wrong with scheduling and planning for lovemaking, right? You can't just after, those first couple of years in a new relationship, yeah, you want to rip off each other's clothes as soon as you see each other and things. But if you start waiting for that feeling to overtake you and such, sex is not going to happen. If you have regular date nights and things like that, or, touch nights, and where intimate connection is the goal, and then if sex happens, great, you're so much more likely to have it. And it's something to look forward to. There's nothing wrong with looking forward to things. The thought that it should be spontaneous is kind of a myth.
Yeah. 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 Now, what do you do with the fact if your partner has a really different time frame, right? Like, females take much longer than men to be aroused. So what could you go and do about that?
We need to give our men a little more credit for taking direction. Men, they're not mind readers, but when they're actually made requests of, they want to please you, right? So to have him, take some more time is not an unreasonable request, because then he knows the more you like it, the better you're going to, the more often you're going to be making love and such.
He's going to feel better. And he wants you to be happy. Yeah.
We should give our men a little more credit and a little more direct requests on slowing down. Yeah, on slowing down. If he wants you to be happy, he'll take your time. But which doesn't necessarily mean that you have to spend an hour or more every time, because a lot of times the timing is he loves quick morning sex, right? And there's not time for that in the morning, so we compromise. Sometimes we have long sex, sometimes we have quick sex, sometimes but we're connecting, and every time we do, we're building our bond together.
Love that. Okay, number 6, my favorite one:
emotional connection. Yeah, that's because women need emotional connection during sex. We don't want meaningless sex. And a lot of times I feel for young women because they are kind of fed a bunch of crap that says that, they do, it's have sex like a man, like a young man and such, when really I think that key to sexual enjoyment is feeling emotional connection. And many times that is, we want to feel loved, adored, cherished, special, desired, those kind of things. So we need to cultivate a relationship that enables us to feel that way. And that means outside of the bedroom too. We have to show appreciation and kindness towards each other in order to be able to get emotional connection in the bedroom. We need to, build each other up, love each other. And I think, again, that's key to having a great sex life. And because also as women, in many cases, if we're not feeling emotionally connected to our partners, we don't even want to make love, right? And on the conversely, what happens on the male side of you is that's often how he feels loved. So in order for him to give his emotional heart, he needs to get his sexed up, right? That's when he opens up. So if you don't have regular lovemaking, your man may shut down emotionally, right? Because he doesn't feel loved. So he doesn't give you love. And therefore you don't want to have sex. And then you end up in this stalemate of resentment.
Okay. So what do you suggest to people to improve their emotional connection so that way it improves their sexual connection?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Well, like I said, for the women, often it's a case if your man's wired like most, make love more often, have good, fun, passionate, juicy sex. And if you're the man, spend quality time with her. Make some romantic gestures, compliments, things like that. We love romance. That fills our tanks and that makes us desire our man more in most cases, and also both sides love physical touch.
Some
and
more
it doesn't
than
always
others.
have to
Not
be
always do both partners like physical touch the same.
True. Try to figure out what your partner likes and do it that way. If you're always giving the partner what you want, then you could be missing the mark all the time.
Like, you will be missing the mark all the time.
I really like my arm rubbed like this. And they're like, I don't like my arm rubbed like this, but you keep doing it because that's what you like. The golden rule is do to your partner, what you would like, but that's not always the right rule. The platinum rule is better. Do to your partner what they like.
Oh, yeah. What do you think are some of the blocks to emotional connection?
Probably they fall under, in a male-female relationship, a woman thinking like a woman and not understanding that her man has an entirely different way of thinking about things, and vice versa. And the same thing that the men in many ways are conditioned that women are more emotional and such, but a lot of times we don't give each other enough credit, enough space to be who we are. And it's a combination. I mean, it's not only like we're anatomically different, but hormonally we're different.
Oh, yeah.
And cultural conditioning we're different. So I would say those would be big blocks to emotional connection, but they can also be overcome with just education and understanding.
How can one create that space, go and communicate it in the right way?
Well, I mean, that's a process that we cover in coaching, right? Because it's individualized, but generally it comes from a spirit of we are collaborators together and we are sexual explorers together. And it takes two. It's not just you and me. We're a team. Actually, we're a team. That's kind of the outlook. We are on the same team. We both want each other to be happy and feel loved and feel pleased. Taking that spirit is one of the key about sex. Have the best sex life.
Okay, now what have you seen that done? Like, now you had both experiences without the sex and with the sex. How has it affected other areas of your life having such a good relationship?
Yeah, I look youngsless marriage. I was only in my 30s, and yet I had this like deep worry line down my, forehead and such. And so, yeah, I look and feel younger and healthier. I felt heavy. And now I feel optimistic, enough to try this, enough to do, to move into an entirely new career which was like a mission in my calling. I mean, my husband is so loved up that he let me leave a 6-figure, career to pursue my passion project. Who does that except a very loved up man, right?
Yeah, I'm curious. What does he do?
Oh, he's a manager in the automobile industry. So he's in such a guy's world. You know, he's been surrounded by guys all his life.
He gets the space of being able to do that.
I actually put that in my agreements for my clients. I'm like, confidentiality agreement, except I frequently will often discuss things with my husband because he gives me such incredible, valuable input. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And they agree to that?
He gives the husband's point of view. A lot of times that's what it is. Because I'm working with women, it's like he just instantly get like the guy think, and I'm like, oh, of course, right?
Right. You have to get in literally the guy's mind, the guy's train of thought, and try to figure out.
I get such wonderful insights from him that I started doing in my Facebook group, which is called Romance Reboot and Bedroom Boot Camp. On Monday evenings, we do an Ask a Real Guy questions. So women send in the questions and he gives a guy perspective. And sometimes they're funny and sometimes they're like not what you'd expect, right? And sometimes they're like, God, all guys think about is sex, right? It does come
right. Awesome. Okay.
And it's like, it's true. It really does think about this like this.
Right. Huh? And you can go and prove afterwards.
What's the question?
Although different guys are different. So it's just one guy's perspective, not everyone's. But I like that. Maybe one day you'll bring him in with you and he'll coach some of your clients together.
Yeah, I think so. I say when you retire, you'll be great at this.
Oh, oh yeah. Will he retire from his high income job too to do that?
Perhaps. Yeah.
Such fun. Okay. So before we get to our final question, what is one thing you want life fixers to take away from this episode?
If your sex life is not great, assuming you're a woman, that's my specialty, you are not broken, but you are also responsible for doing something about it. Right? You cannot just get into a marriage or a relationship and expect, well, I'm just not that into it and they should understand and things like that. No. I mean, we were put on this earth to procreate and the best bonding thing you can do with another person is making love. I mean, that's the thing that brings you closer than anyone else and they can only get from you. So you have to take responsibility, I would say, for making your sex life great and not being complacent about it and expecting it to just happen and neglecting our areas of our lives, like our education, are not the case. So, I would say step up and take some responsibility to make it great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like that so much. Okay. So for our final question that I ask everyone, how do you describe an extraordinary relationship without using love, connection, or sex? I'm putting in for you.
An extraordinary relationship without using that, I would say kindness, compassion, playfulness.
Yeah.
And respect.
Yeah, I like that. Awesome.
And respect. That's probably it.
Yeah, you need that respect.
Fantastic sex is just like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, wraps pretty bow on top, wrap the whole thing together.
And it's the glue. It's a glue that patches over a lot of disagreements and things. Couples don't have to be exactly alike. They don't have to have all the same interests and things like that. If you have this glue, then it's really unique and special.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Debbie. It was great speaking with you and I appreciate you being here.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, St.
That's all for this episode of Life Picks Relationships, and we have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support this show, but also give others what they need to take their marriage to the next level. We're striving to have 1 million downloads per episode by December 31st, 2025, so please share it with your family and friends so they can turn their relationship into an extraordinary one.